Hey, my Liptons. So I wanted to come in here and do a video on politics. Usually, it's like anytime you look at the news cycle, is always something new. But it's just like I didn't know what exactly I wanted to talk about. So I was like, you know what? Let me just put all three of these issues in one video, and let me just get this over with, and let me just talk about after this video. Let me just talk about things that make me happy, or that make me that shifts my focus. Because if you watch the news 24/7, or if you keep updates, it feels like depression is just rising. Like, that's why people who have all kinds of mental health issues in this country and in other places as well. But I do want to talk about the Republicans and Donald Trump and this whole situation, because I do think that everything currently that is going on in this country, and what Donald Trump and his administration and what the Republicans are doing, and eventually all of this is going to catch up with them. And I think that that's the thing. That here's the issue too with the Republicans. Like, they're way in over their heads with this whole election, especially the 2024 election. Just because you bitches won all 7 swing states, and y'all won the quote unquote popular vote, we also need to keep it a buck, okay? And this is me talking the facts. More people stayed home in 2024 than they did come out to vote. Okay, I know the way Trump and the Republicans are going, oh yeah, it was a referendum. It's like, the people want our values and our ideals and our blah, blah. No, bitch. More people, if you look at the numbers, go look at the numbers. More people stayed home in November of 2024 during the general election than the people that they came out. The same amount, if you really look at it, the numbers, the same amount of people that voted for Trump back in 2020, he just got 1 million more votes on top of that. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they said like almost like 10 million people stayed home in November of 2024. So more, if you really think about it, more people didn't vote for Democrats than they did for Republicans. It's just that Trump got maybe like 1 million more on top of that, but it was still the same amount that he got back in 2020. More people stayed home. So this is what I mean, that they're way in over their heads, and y'all really think that people are here for you, and like they're here for y'all bullshit, stupid ass, nonsensical policies. And it's just like, no, it's not giving that. And eventually, and like I said before, and it happened to the Democrats in 2024, and I've been warning the Democrats literally since 2022. I've been warning the Democrats on my channel. I've been like, yo, what y'all are stupid. Y'all are stupid. What is going on? And then when this genocide happened under the Democrats' watch, that was just the cherry on top of that cake. I was like, yo, they are going to lose this election if they do not flip. If they do not switch out of this bullshit, sending arms to isn't real, and sending bombs and stuff like that, killing people across the globe, it's going to fuck them up in the election. And what happened? It ended up happening. Now we're here at the Republican section of it all, and all of these things that's going on in the news cycle. Eventually, this is going to catch up. I can really tell it now. Next year, when it's the midterms, especially if it keeps going in this direction, it's gonna be a sweep. It's gonna be a sweep. Democrats, I definitely see Democrats coming back, taking over, most likely taking over the House. The Senate, I'm still not too sure. For some reason, like the Senate, like it always tends to be even, or like Democrats will tend to get like a one vote majority in the Senate, but sometimes it does tend to be even. For some reason, it's harder to win the Senate than it is to win the House. The House, I definitely see Democrats sweeping the House. The Senate is, I'm gonna say, even, but I definitely see Democrats doing well in the midterms next year. And we also have proof of that, especially looking at what happened at Wisconsin, in that whole situation where that Democratic judge won in Wisconsin, even though Elon Musk, his annoying apartheid Clyde having ass, poured a bunch of his money into that election only for him to lose Wisconsin, the Wisconsin judge seat. So, like I said, I just think that all this is going to catch up with them. So first, let's discuss these tariffs quickly, because I can't. If I get too much into it, I'm going to start like going crazy. To me, if y'all at this point, TikTok is getting banned. I don't care what nobody said. TikTok, I know Trump did like a 75-day extended thing, when that 75 days comes up, or if honestly if Trump changes his mind, he's gonna ban this app, because the fact that now, well, one, Trump is the one that started this trade war with like countries, literally countries all over the globe. Like I saw like Lesotho on that map. Like he put Lesotho and he put like 90% tariffs on them, and I'm like, bro. Either way, the fact that they're having this tariff war now between China and the United States. And one, I think that the tariff war is gonna mostly affect the U.S. than it is going to do China. China has thought this out and has thought of a well thought out plan on how to withhold and withstand the U.S. tariffs, but the United States is not going to be able to do it. We're way too dumb. We're way too, like, especially the government, like they haven't thought shit through. So these tariffs that China has put on us, especially with most of our goods, resources, a lot of our stuff came from Asia, more specifically China. Shit is about to get, if y'all think inflation's about to be bad, okay? Inflation is about to be bad. So we're definitely, well, one, I feel like we've been in a recession for like 3 years now, but I guess, we ain't got nothing left else to lose. Okay, we are the poorest. Okay, so really, if you're hitting us with like a level 2 recession, it's like kind of like, well, I mean, I was already in a recession. I've been poor my whole life, so it's like might as well, I guess. I don't know, but either way, these tariffs are about to fuck us up, and I think that Trump. The reason I also feel like Trump is doing this because we already know this is his last term, and I know people are going crazy because he said something about a third term. I don't think that's gonna happen. I think the shadow government might actually shoot him and actually get the proper target right this time to take him out before he runs for a third term. But I do think that allegedly, okay, I don't want to, we gotta say allegedly in these streets. But I do think that he's not gonna. But I think that because this is his last term, that's why he's kind of going out with a bang. That's what Trump is trying to do. He's trying to go out with a bang and trying to really like fuck us up and like, get his billionaire buddies all kinds of like, giving them tax breaks and everything. So that's what I think he's trying to do. And he's trying, he's going out with a bang. So that's why he's putting up all these tariffs. I don't think the economy is going to get good from here going forward. I do think that we do need to prepare ourselves, stack up, cut your losses, my Liptons, okay, because it's about to get rough and tough out here in these streets, okay? Do you hear me? But either way, like I said, if these tariffs really mess us up and like in the way that I think it is, like I said, I think the Democrats are going to come back sweeping the midterms. House, I definitely see them taking over the House. Whether they get a supermajority in the House, we'll have to wait and see with that one. But like I said, the Senate, it's like an even thing because it's definitely difficult for Democrats to get the Senate. Next, let's talk about this. I saw this yesterday, and this is what I mean that they're playing with fire with Republicans. This is what I mean. The whole situation with the tariffs, because I think I forgot, I was watching some news, some independent media channel, and they were saying that there was this one particular U.S. president, I'm forgetting his name, he put all kinds of tariffs, and he was a Republican as well. He put all kinds of tariffs on all these countries, and it ended up messing up the U.S. economy, and then they said that ended up making Republicans lose power for over 60 years because the American public just voted them out. So this is also something where it's like they're literally cutting their nose to, what is it saying? Cutting their nose to spite their face, or cutting whatever, whose nose to spite whoever's face. That's what they're doing, because the fact that this mind you, this passed in the House. Okay, so the fact that this narrowly passed in the House, unfortunately, but then again, may God prevent this from passing and getting through to Donald Trump's desk. But we can only pray that the Senate, shoots this down. But the fact that this narrowly passed in the House is looking like the Senate is going to pass this ridiculous, stupid budget plan where they're literally cutting programs to low income Americans. Like it says here, tax cuts primarily benefiting the rich, of course. But you already know both parties, they love the rich. That's the thing I don't understand about this whole fight the oligarchy thing. It's like Republicans do it, Democrats do it, but Republicans are more vocal about them supporting Democrats. Them supporting oligarchs. Then we have $880 billion cuts in Medicaid and Affordable Care. Like I said, I've been on Medicaid when growing up, so it's like I know that that's gonna have an effect on a lot of low income Americans. Cuts on SNAP. Like I said, I grew up on these kind of programs. I grew up on SNAP food stamps. So the fact that they're cutting $230 billion, y'all are cutting 880 billion to Medicaid and 230 billion to SNAP, but yet y'all can send billions and billions and billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine and all these other countries. Y'all can send them all kinds of money, but y'all want to cut our SNAP and our benefits for us to survive. And that's what it's just. We're such a the United States is such a backwards ass country. We are so backwards. It's like we never have money until it's time for war. We never have money until it's time to build a bomb and drop a bomb on people. We never have money until it's time to build an AR-15 or an AK-47, something like that, or semi-automatic weapon. When it comes to weapons and war and bloodshed, we have the money in the world. But when it comes to food stamps, when it comes to Medicaid, health insurance, health care, we never can find the money. Y'all act as if y'all are blind and deaf. Y'all don't know what we're talking about. Y'all don't want to help us with free college. Y'all don't want to cancel student loan debt. Y'all don't want to do anything. Y'all are just playing in our face constantly. And I do believe that if the American public has the kind of strength and will like the French people over there in France do, this needs to start a rebellion. Okay, we need a rebellion at this point because this current system that we're in right now, it is not working. The two-party system is not working. We need a rebellion at this point because it's getting ridiculous out here. And then look at this, $175 billion in funding for mass deportation. And then $175 billion in the military spending. So Trump, who ran on, I remember like his first time, he ran on like, the military industrial complex and how they're just stealing all that money, all the Pentagon stuff. And then here his administration comes and the Republican comes sending more money to the military industrial complex. At this point, if y'all don't see like the ridiculousness of the Republican Party and the foolishness and the lies and the hypocrisy, if y'all don't see through their bullshit, y'all just choosing not to see it. Y'all just naturally stupid. Okay, this is why with me, I've divorced the two-party system. I can't deal with this anymore. I divorced the two-party system, and I'm never coming back. I divorced them for emotional distress, irreconcilable differences, abuse, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Every kind of abuse that you can find in the book. Psychologically, I've been abused by the two-party system. I've divorced them completely, and I'm never coming back. I'm never coming back because I can't deal with this no more. I can't. Next, let's talk about apartheid isn't real, and let's also talk about Orange Chief Cheeto in chief. Okay, their asses are out here screening U.S. immigrants for Israeli criticism. So it's so funny. The Republicans are so hilarious, right? I've noticed for the past 4 or 5 years, they've been complaining about wokeism. Oh, the left is woke. Democrats are woke. Oh, they want to make, critical race theory. Woke. Now, it's so funny how it has completely flipped. It's so funny how it's completely flipped to now, the Republicans are now dibbling and dabbling in the wokeism. So now, if you criticize Israel, mind you, we're criticizing the government, a foreign government at that. Literally in the United States, we can criticize the United States government. We can criticize any government for that matter. But for y'all need to ask yourselves this question. For some particular reason, why is it the United States government is trying to destroy dissent on the American people speaking about a foreign government that our taxpayer dollars are paying for? Right? We need to ask ourselves, because it makes absolutely. So here's my thing. Here's what I would say for Trump so if that's the case, if y'all trying to destroy Israeli, y'all guys are trying to make it seem as if being anti an apartheid government is being anti-Judaism or anti-Jewish, which is so ridiculous, false, not true. We are no way people. When we criticize the Israeli government, when we criticize war criminals like Netanyahu, we're criticizing them as at them as individuals, who they are as a person. Benjamin Netanyahu is a war criminal. He is demon. So is Trump. So is so is Joe Biden. So is other presidents that have been supporting this kind of oppression, imperialism, apartheid, genocide. Anybody that has had their hands in this, they were criticizing them for their actions. We're not criticizing a religion or like people's faith and their identities and stuff like that. And the fact that they're conflating anti-Semitism with being anti like Judaism or anti, it's annoying and it pisses me off. But like, here's the thing. I just feel like in this, especially right now in the times that we're in, is only going to get worse before it gets better. And I think that there is this part of me, especially lately, that I've been thinking like, the United States government has caused so much pain and destruction to so many countries, not just Palestine, but like in Iraq, in Iran, in Somalia, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Sudan, in the Congo, so many African countries as well. We've toppled governments. Like if you look at South America and what we did to those countries too, Central America, we've toppled so many countries and we destroyed so many people's lives. Not us as individuals, but our governments have, and they've made these very destructive, demonic choices in policy. And to me, I just personally feel like, unfortunately, us as a people in the United States, we're not going to be able to have that peace and be living comfortably if our government continues to also destroy other people's peace around the globe. You know what I mean? I hope y'all understand what I'm trying to say. I just feel like what's going on in Palestine, what's going on in the Congo, in Sudan, what we did to Yemen, us giving weapons to Saudi Arabia to bomb Yemen. I just think that our government has destroyed so many lives and participating, aiding and abetting in genocides and wiping out of communities that, like, unfortunately, it's trickling down to us as like the individuals who, like, we didn't ask to participate in this, but our government has done on our behalf. But it's just like, I don't know. I kind of think of it of like the Moses effect in a way. It's like, and I know I'm getting low key like low key spiritual religious here, but I don't know. Like I think about it like I call it the Moses effect. May peace be upon him. Like where, when he was trying to go, telling the Pharaoh to let his people go, and then the plagues happened. That's what I think. Even though I don't want it to be that extreme, but it's giving me that. It's giving me that effect. So I just personally feel like unless we have our hands off of these other countries and dibbling and dabbling in those countries and killing off people in other countries, until that happens, I just personally feel like the American public is not going to know peace. Why do you think that we're having like a mental health crisis in this country? Loneliness is at a high with men, suicide rates are up, anxiety, depression, I think there are reasons for this. And I think our government, the saying is the fish rots from the head. So it's like, and I know I just rerouted and I just, went on a whole tangent, but I hope what I'm trying to say makes sense. Okay. But yeah, I just think that them doing this, especially the Republicans being quote unquote free speech, but yet y'all, anytime we talk about Israel, y'all want to cancel us. Y'all are literally deporting people. Y'all are taking people to El Salvador jails for criticizing Israel, even though they're legal residents in the United States. It's just, the Republicans are hypocrites. They're liars, and they don't stand for speech. They stand for free speech until it's something that they care about. Until it's something that they care about, the Ben Shapiro's of the world, they could give two shit. Ben Shapiro is Israel first. Okay? So that's why you shouldn't take any of these people seriously at all. Ever, never, ever, ever. Okay? So, like I said, I just think that them trying, and here's also the problem too, and unfortunately this is what I see happening. This whole situation with, Trump cracking down on these universities, stopping funding from these universities expelling students, them trying to crack down on Israeli criticism, whatever that means. Unfortunately, I feel like that's only going to breed anti-Semitism. I feel like it's going to make people go into like those stereotypical tropes of like, oh well, why can't we criticize the quote unquote? It's because they're gonna, the way that Benjamin Netanyahu know these people in our government is inflating, Judaism and criticizing the Israeli government. They're gonna be like, well, why can't we criticize Israel? Why can't we criticize the Jews? Why do they have so much power? It's gonna play into those stereotypes and those things, and I feel like it's only doing them a disservice, and it's doing the Jewish community a disservice in that way. That's just my personal opinion. I hope personally people stay on code, especially for the people that do want Palestine to be free. I hope we do stay on code and we stay on task on what our message is and not fall into this like, okay, let's hate the people within this religion or so. I really really hope that it doesn't lead to that, and I think we're smarter than that. But yeah, I just feel. But I will say this though, I've noticed that even though mainstream wise, of course, like mainstream media is always going to put out their propaganda, but I've noticed like on the podcast sector of things, like the quote unquote podcast bros, like the media will call them, like the more conservative podcasters like Joe Rogan or Theo Von and those other. I've noticed that they've been Candace Owens, even though I'm not particularly they're not my cup of tea like that. But I've noticed that they've been speaking out a lot more on the fact that how the U.S. government is literally Israel's bitch right now. Like we are licking the ass cracks of Israel. Like we're so like we're licking the boots. Okay, so I am glad to see that the podcast bros or wherever y'all guys want to call them, the conservative podcasters are kind of waking up and seeing the games that are being played and calling that out and informing their audience about what is going on, because for a while I always felt like it was only the left or people on the other side that were like mostly speaking out against this genocide. But to see people like Dave Smith and Candace Owens, I might not agree with them a lot on a lot of things, but I'm glad that they are speaking out against the horrors of the genocide that is happening. But anyway, yeah, that's just my thoughts on that. I know this is probably a long-winded video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let's get up to 2,000 subscribers, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.